Yeah, well, thank you guys for being here. It's good to start another year. It's crazy that it's 13. Feel like my first one was just a couple days ago, but we were excited to get the win tonight. We're obviously a work in progress. We did a lot of good things, and there was some things we got to really clean up. And give Mercyhurst credit. We knew we didn't have a lot of film on them from this year because they didn't really have exhibitions that were televised or anything, but watching them, their coach has been there for many years, and he's got a system of cutting and moving and with pace and a lot of ball screens and different actions that they put you in that require a lot of talk and a lot of communication. And overall, to hold them to 47 points, to me, was a really good defensive performance. What were they? 1 for 18 from 3. Which was a point of emphasis, especially with Blunt and Lemmelman. So overall, the defense was really good. I thought we were a little bit anxious on the offensive end. Thought we went for a few too many home run plays, threading the needles, trying to hit lobs instead of just hitting singles. Hitting the open guy, taking the open shot. I thought we were first night, everybody's excited, trying to do, but a little bit too much, which led to 12 turnovers, and we got to clean that up. And I thought some of the young guys were a little bit nervous tonight, a little bit anxious, which is very much understandable. In your first college game, there's a lot of emotion that goes into that. So I think you'll see those guys settle in. And, obviously playing without Angelo. Angelo's a big part of our team, and him not being able to go tonight kind of threw our rotations off. But, we feel like we have guys who can step up. And thought Arrinten was great tonight, 18 and 12. We knew we would have kind of advantage inside, and we wanted to take advantage of that. And I thought he played with force. At times, because you're skilled and big, sometimes he has a tendency to, want to shoot jumpers, and which is fine if you're open. But when you're the biggest guy in the court, you have to establish yourself physically. And I thought he did that. Got to the line 12 times, played around the basket, got dunks, got stuff around the basket. And then, of course, Nick getting 15 in the first half when we were, just gave us that 11-point lead kind of heading into second half. And then, Jaden is very important. We need him on the floor. He only got 5 minutes in the first half because of 2 fouls. And we were different. Jake just got cleared a couple days ago. He hasn't had the practice time, and as a freshman. So, having Jaden be able to play 15 minutes in the second half was huge, because you see with his speed in the open floor, he got KJ some threes, got Max a 3 in transition. So he's an important piece that we need to have out there. So anyway, open for questions.
When you look at Arrinten, what he's able to do, obviously that last week, the exhibition, he had some foul trouble. How did you see him kind of correct a little bit coming in today, and what did you just think of the performance?
Yeah, just being solid. The other night he, Illinois State's big kid is really good, Chase Walker, and I thought he got him off the floor with some pump fakes and, was able to kind of bait him into some silly undisciplined fouls, which had, he only played 10 minutes in the game. And tonight I thought he did a better job of kind of staying down on fakes, being more active defensively, really good on the glass. We need his size around the basket for, altering shots, for defensive rebounding. He's good in pick and roll coverages defensively. So we need his presence out there. You need those big guys that, and he had 2 assists, no turnovers. I thought one of the biggest plays, we were trying to push the game open, and Nick, I think, missed 2 free throws. And Arrinten got the offensive rebound and threw it right back to Nick, and we scored. Those are little plays, but they're big plays. And so just having him out there and also getting his feet wet. He didn't play a lot last year. So for him to get these extended minutes, meaningful minutes, and to be needed the way he is here, these are all very important games for him.
Coach, I want to ask, on offense about kind of the flow of how you guys were operating. For assist to turnover, both for Nick and the team. For Nick, he had 0 assists and 2 turnovers. Team had 13 assists, 12 turnovers.
Yep.
How do you foster more flow, both when Nick has the ball at double teams and then also in general in the game?
Yeah, we just have to get to the right spots, and he's got to make good decisions. I thought we had 3 or 4 maybe late turnovers when we were going for lobs, and I think it would have been 8 or 9 if I had to look. I have to watch the film, but yeah, 12's too many. Credit their defense, though. They play a matchup zone. They were doing a lot of switching. They were switching defenses. They went to a 1-2-2 press. They went to a 1-3-1, and we had young guys out on the floor. We had a 10-second violation there the one time that you just can't have. So it's a work in progress, and Nick, we know Nick's going to be double teamed. So we got to do a good job playing off of him, and then it's on him, to take care of the ball. I mean, I don't think 2 turnovers is bad. Obviously, we want him to have some assists. But, in the first half, he was getting fouled a lot, and he was able to score. So I thought the one they stripped him in the middle of the floor, he should have made the pass to the corner. And these are all just good learning moments for him because he's going to see different defenses throughout the course of the game. Also, the possessions were lower in this game because of their offense. I mean, they played deep into the shot clock, at least 15 to 20 possessions where we had to play inside of 5 seconds. That slows the number of possessions down in a game. So they're all good learning experiences for us, and it's always good to learn when you win.
Coach, another solid night for KJ off the bench. What stands out to you just in terms of the energy he brings when he steps on the floor?
Yeah, well, just his ability to shoot the ball, can break games open. Those 2 threes in the second half kind of pushed the lead from 12 to 18 or 13 to 19, whatever it was there. And, he's got a good disposition to him. He's the kind of guy, he's always ready. I've kind of asked him right now to kind of be that energy guy off the bench. And, he played starters minutes though. He ended up playing 22 minutes in the game. So he's going to be out there. It's just fun, and we have to do a good job when he's open. We got to find him because he's a guy that can really get going. We've seen last year 20-point games, and we need his shooting and his ability to score for us. It's a big piece to what we're doing.
Coach, unlike the freshman, this wasn't Max Green's first game, but it definitely seemed like he struggled to find a little bit of the rhythm on the offensive end. Just curious how you evaluate his play tonight.
Yeah, he's feeling it out. For him, I give him a lot of credit. He comes from a situation where the ball was in his hands the whole game. He handled the ball. He took a lot of shots. He made, and so now he's on a team with a lot of good players, and feeling out for him how to play off others. I thought he had a couple tough turnovers where he tried to do a little bit too much. But again, he's learning a new team. He's learning a new system. We have great confidence that he's going to be another guy with KJ. I mean, I really feel like those 2 guys, we need their shooting and scoring, when their minutes are in. And, the more we play with him and the more we get, and the more comfortable he gets, I think you'll see him play better.
The back. Coach, seemed to be a point of emphasis to pick up guys full court. Is that something for this matchup or something you're looking at?
It's something we've been committed to, really throughout the course of the whole offseason. We feel like we have more guys to play, and we feel like, with Jaden's ability to pressure the ball and, sometimes just get into the legs of other teams' point guards. I think you saw tonight, Blunt, who is a first-team all-league guy for them, he goes 0 for 5 from 3. Part of that sometimes when you got to use energy bringing it up the floor the whole game, it affects you when it comes time to shoot the ball. And we saw that the other night with Illinois State's guard, Kinzinger, same type of thing. So it's not kind of, I think as we morph into it, we can get a little bit more aggressive and maybe you might see some traps and things of that nature. But right now, it's just a way for us to extend the floor and kind of get the pace and the speed of the game up a little bit, which we would like to.
Following up a little bit with KJ, I mean, there's a sequence in the second half where one of his threes where he gets a block on the other end, saves the ball, kind of comes back, gets open for a three. How much of a sense have you gotten where his ceiling's at and how much of a playmaker he could be?
Yeah, I mean, I think KJ is a really talented player, and I think everyone's excited here. The best thing after you go through a freshman year, I think with him and Angelo, but specifically KJ, is just the comfortability of having a year under your belt and kind of playing at this level and being comfortable who you are and knowing that you're needed by your team. But I thought that stretch he had in the second half was huge. With the loose balls, his defense was good, his shooting obviously, and I think a lot of times he's going to be on the floor with another playmaker. So when you can have 2 guys that can make plays, it makes your a lot of the more playmakers you can have on the floor, the better. And so, I like his ability to not only score, but to be a secondary playmaker for us.
A couple more, Spudge.
Coach, started 3 newcomers, slow start in the first half, but kind of a stronger start in the second half. What do you think that says about how that starting lineup has room to, continue to elevate and grow?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Angelo has been a part of that lineup, so not having him tonight, kind of changed our rotations a little bit. We went with Jordan, just to have a veteran guy in there, defensive-minded guy to kind of get us off to a good start. Plus, I like having firepower off the bench, bringing Max, KJ, Justin. I like what that looks like. Jake, once he gets his feet, bringing some energy and some guys off the bench. So hopefully we'll get Angelo back because I've really liked how that game has started. Gives us really good positional size. When Angelo and Trey and Nick and AP, those 4 guys are 6'6" and above. And even though Jaden is little, I just think it gives us good positional size to start the game and athleticism. So hopefully he'll be back sooner rather than later. But other guys really stepped up tonight. And it's a work in progress. It doesn't mean that lineup is set in stone. The more we play, we might find that we want to go a different direction. And I've told our players that. I want them all to view themselves as starters. And I know that's hard to do in today's day and age, social media and people in their ear. But I want all of them to have starter mentality. And the thing is, whoever's playing well is going to play the most. We had an exhibition game at Iowa State where KJ got 3 quick fouls and couldn't get in a rhythm. I think he only played 7 minutes. Then he comes back the next 2 games and he's playing great and he gets in the high 20s. So it's going to be night to night with some of these guys. Obviously, we know Nick's going to be out there. Hopefully, Jaden will be out there extended minutes. We need AP's minutes out there. But depending on the night and who's playing well, it's going to kind of determine who's out there more.
More question, Matt. You mentioned sooner rather than later for Angelo. Can you shed a little light on what he's dealing with right now and what the timeline is for him?
Yeah, I mean, many of you guys were at the game the other night. He took a really nasty fall. He went up for a lob and kind of got undercut, and in a free fall landed on his back pretty hard. And I mean, there's nothing structural that's wrong, but I don't know if any of you guys have fallen from 10 or 11 feet in the air on your back. Imagine what that would feel like. So his body, locked up a little bit. He had some back soreness, a little bit of abdominal stuff. So, he's getting better every day. He's moving a lot today. He got a workout in. I just wanted to err on the side of caution with him. It's let's get him healthy. It's a long season. And we're hopeful, maybe a couple more days. Hopefully we can get him Wednesday, get him practice a little bit. We're hopeful maybe he'll be ready to go Friday night.
That wraps up with Coach.
All right, thank you guys. See you Friday.
Jake?
Nick, you guys held them to just 6% from 3, 1 of 18. I mean, how much of an emphasis do you guys place on defending the perimeter tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think we always put an emphasis on our defense. CeeLo, he's no joke, Last week he didn't think we really met his expectations. So, yeah, we were getting after in practice, and we were ready to go today.
Chris? For both of you, Nick, I'll start with you. Coaches talk about how this Mercyhurst kind of slows games down with the possessions. They take like 25, 30 seconds per possession. How did that affect the offense in the first half? How did you shake out of it in the second half?
Yeah, as I always say, we just kind of do what our jobs are. And, if it's playing defense for 25 seconds, it's playing defense for the whole 25, 30, and finishing with the rebound. That's just our standard here. So, we're not too worried about the offense. We're really worried about who scores more points at the end of the game.
For Arrinten, through the first 2 exhibitions, kind of had some up and down moments of, really great game at Iowa State and some foul trouble at Illinois State in that second half. This whole game, you were kind of really putting it together. What were you seeing in this game, and how did it feel for this to be your debut here in earnest at Northwestern?
I just thought Coach put a really good game plan together, and I felt like us as a whole team executed, and I was just the person that benefited tonight. So, yeah.
Arrinten, you've been at 2 schools already before coming to Northwestern. What differences do you notice in the setup and the culture here?
Just the belief that Coach CC has in me and the rest of his team. So I think that's probably been the biggest difference, just the confidence instiller.
Jake?
Nick, what did you just make of what you saw from AP tonight out there?
Yeah, I saw it, every day in the off season, so it's not anything new to me. But yeah, just being able to put it together. What do you have? 18 and 12. Yeah, stealing all my rebounds. But it was a great performance, and I only see him getting better from here. The more he gets used to the system. I hope you guys know how hard it is to get to, get into a new system and try to figure it out. And the way that, he's just taking advice, from teammates, coaches, and really taking it to heart. And just he's been a sponge, so it's so great to have him here.
On your point about how hard it is to be in a new system, you had a lot of freshmen out there tonight and also newcomers like Max. What would your advice been to your younger self in your first game and how to calm yourself down and get into the game?
Yeah, I mean, first piece of advice would be to actually carve out a role for myself because I wasn't playing at all. So that would be my first piece of advice. But, definitely for freshmen, you have to understand that everybody is the guy. You're going to have to work your butt off, and a lot of it is just being able to be solid. I think for our freshmen, they were all superstars where they came from, but just being solid, we have a ton of depth, and they just have to understand that, they might not get the ball as much every night, but they have to do their jobs as well as they possibly can, and that's, what could propel us to have a great season this year.
Arrinten, how have you seen Nick's presence elevate this team as a veteran?
I mean, he's had this your fourth year?
Yeah.
Fourth year and just around, this coaching staff. So I feel like he's been giving me a lot of good pointers of how to just navigate, this new system that I'm in, and just how to navigate around like Evanston. They've just been real like comforting. So yeah.
Nick, there's a sequence in the second half. KJ gets a block on a three, saves a loose ball, and comes back around, hits the three. How have you seen him grow as just a playmaker and kind of build on what he was doing last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it started with him just growing as a person. Last year, as I said, being a freshman is super hard. And, when I came back from my pre-draft workouts, he was a completely different person. He wants to be a leader. He wants to see the best out of this program. And that's really what's going to propel you. If you have faith and belief and your worries are about, the team, that's something that he really needed, as I said, coming from being a star. And I think that mindset that he has now, working his butt off, getting back down the court and hitting a three, he's ultra talented. So it was really just a mindset shift.
Nick, you were getting some advice from Doug Collins before you came in here. What was he telling you there?
Yeah, it's non-disclosed information. Yeah.
Any more? Eli?
There's a lot of sort of unique combinations of lineups being put out there. How are you sort of adjusting to, 1 minute you're playing with 4 guys, the next minute you're playing with 3 other guys out on court?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, just being a winner. I think if you're a winner and you truly care about your team scoring more than the other team, it doesn't matter who's on the floor. You're going to give it your best. You're going to understand the people and what their strengths are, and you're going to do your absolute best when they're in the game. And when it switches up, same mindset.
Arrinten, what are some of those spots that Nick's showed you around Evanston?
Non-disclosed information.
It's good.
Arrinten, as a newcomer to this team, learning the new system, how do you sort of just balance that with also being a veteran voice who guys count on in the paint?
I'd say Nick helped me with that a lot. Just him showing me by example, and I also picked up a little bit of foul baiting from him too. Shot 12 free throws today, so yeah.
More questions? Last one, Matt.
Nick Tate, just 2 turnovers, but also no assists. How have you worked on handling some of the double teams that Mercyhurst and other teams are going to be throwing at you this season?
Yeah, I mean, we trap a lot, so in practice, I'm being trapped a ton. But yeah, I know it's going to be coming, and I have to do a better job passing the ball. It's no secret I'm not a great passer, but I'm going to work my butt off and continue to try to get better in that aspect of the game. Hopefully, can figure it out at some point.
All right, that'll wrap us up. Thank you.
Thank you.